And good morning, Lagos, Nigeria, wherever you might be in the world, it's Sunday. So, you know what that means. It's breakfast extra monologue, fresh and spicy, no subtitles, just a jolly story. So let's jump right in, shall we? And boy, have we got a very interesting one for you from last week. Picture this. A few months ago, El-Rufai jumped ship from the APC to the SDP. Everyone whispered, here we go again. But he wasn't just switching teams. He was dropping the Avengers signal. That defection was the origin scene, assembling big names. APC tried to laugh it off, calling it a joke, but deep down, they noticed the rumble, all right? They definitely did. Remember when SDP youth stormed outside telling him he wasn't welcome, or calling him unfit and morally bankrupt? Trust me, notice was taken. That moment right there was the teaser for the main feature, Avengers Assemble, if you remember the movie. So let's fast forward, and now we have the ADC coalition forming. Think of, what was it called? Avengers Infinity War this time. Kind of epic, wasn't it? Now they've got Peter Rufai, who's like kind of Iron Man, fierce, charismatic, technically brilliant. Let's not forget that. Then you've got Atiku, the seasoned strategist, maybe playing second fiddle this time. The spotlight's on Obi, and fans, well, some of them whispered, would Atiku even want the supporting role? Now, let's remember, we said he's not in this for titles. He's in it to slay hunger, poverty, and bad governance. That's the kind of thing we want to hear as Nigerians. But as any MCU fan knows, even Iron Man needs a trusted sidekick. But can Atiku rock that title? We wait to see. Joining Atiku, or rather Obi and Atiku, are heavyweights like El-Rufai, Amechi, Adebowale, there's David Mark, and also gathered under the ADC's banner. When they rolled it out in Abuja, it felt like the post-credit scene from the blockbuster. Fans cheered, some of them were skeptic about it, some scoffed, memes were flying all over the place, and of course the gist flooded every single WhatsApp group. But hey, the thing is, this isn't just a hype. It looks serious, so maybe we should begin to take it serious individually. Let's also remember Dele Momodu. He stepped in like Nick Fury, delivering cold truths. The PDP is done, he said. These dinosaurs have no teeth. Now, he argued that APC and PDP share the same hijack plan. Only the name on the steering wheel has changed. It's like Korean cars, no difference from Hyundai or Kia. He's saying this: if the PDP is gasping, the APC better wake up, because they are gasping too. Why? Same suppliers. Noted, yes, there have been great reforms since this administration. Gas prices are normalizing, Naira was floated, but for everyday Nigerians, life is still generator fumes and anticipated petrol price hike. Sure, we see the progress, cleaner macro numbers, yeah, but those are just numbers. New money coming in, great. Has it come into my pocket? But can you see it from your pocket? Not really. Meanwhile, the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, our very own political low-key, everybody's got a name for this one, he stands in the PDP hall saying only a well-oiled PDP can beat the APC, not the ADC. I know, I'm as confused as you are as well, because remember, he's still in the PDP. He's flipping scripts, pulling strings here and there, but nobody truly knows exactly where he stands. Nigerians' audience is left wondering, maybe wolf in sheep's clothing? Nah, I think it's just wolf in sheep's PDP agbada. Let's put it so. And the big Gombe announcement, when that went off, the PDP, SDP, LP all hogged under the same ADC flag. Boom, coalition. Some said finally the dream team. Others, well, we heard the jokes. Who's picking president? Who's going to be picking the VP? But what stuck was this, and you better listen. For the first time, we saw something real. Something bigger than tribe talk and slogan remixes here and there from last year to now. A coalition sounding like it means business. Finally. Even better, a recent poll confirms that Nigerians aren't clamoring for tribe or faith anymore. They're clamoring for competence. They want leaders who can build roads that don't fall apart, who can supply power instead of excuses. They want action, not anthem remixes. Now, here's a wake-up call, and it's resounding even for you. It's your turn. Nigerians always cry about bad roads, high cost of power, living in generator-fueled homes. But when the polls open for LG elections, especially in Lagos next weekend, the big question is, where would you be? I know, suddenly you're busy. Suddenly, oh, where's the card? I can't find my PVC. You see, next week's local votes are your immigration test into 2027 movement, whether you like it or not. Still complaining about fuel lines? Well, your business. Still posting on X? Your business. Sharing memes and tags in WhatsApp groups? Are you going to join a squad, whatever squad that might be, whether for or against? Because real change actually starts right here with you. Without the cape, it starts with every single PVC out there. Your vote, your voice at the LG Pavilion. You pick the chairman, the councillors, you. The people who can actually fix the light, clear your drainages, fix your school, pave your streets. You pick it. Stop complaining. The train for 2027 has started and is going to be leaving the station starting from your LGAs. Not in Abuja, not in Asurok, not in Lagos high-rise offices, but your local ward. So come next weekend, it's time to get your ticket. Climb on board. No point rocking the couch complaining while the features are, just go and vote. So, Lagos, and to every Nigerian listening out there, be your own hero this time. I mean, Iron Man didn't just make speeches, he actually built things. Whether it's Obi-led or Atiku-backed, whether it's APC, PDP, or ADC, what matters is that you show up. Don't just whisper in memes, vote for your guy, this and that, blah, blah, blah. No, be a part of that story that you believe in. Let's start local. Vote big and make sure this sequel is what the premiere. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome you all, and of course, my co-host, Judith Atibi. Judith, how are you? Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Grand, isn't it? It's still about the whole coalition thing. Everybody's still talking about it. And boy, I wasn't going to be left out on the monologue, so yeah, that's
of course,
my...
and you did a wonderful one at that.
Oh, thank you very much.
It was very, very incisive, and also all the similarities with all the Avengers was nicely done. Well,
you can't write this stuff up. They're just reenacting it just like it should be. And hey, let's just follow the story till the very end. It's our jobs anyway. In any case, I'm looking forward to some great conversation, and you should too. Everybody out there, in fact. So let's get started. Welcome once again to Breakfast Extra.
And you're welcome once again to Breakfast Extra, this Sunday edition here where the story's as hot as the tea. After that compelling monologue tracing the tide of political realignment, El-Rufai's early dive into SDP, and that paved the way for today's ADC's coalition. And with local elections in Lagos next weekend, our first major segment dissects the surprise coalition that was launched in Gombe, where the ADC umbrella now houses PDP, SDP, Labour Party, and key political figures. We will be exploring whether this alliance is the genuine unifier opponents face, or a house of cards held together by ambition, and how the Obi-Atiku dynamic might shape its success. Next, we shift our focus to Benue State, where recent violence has sparked urgent conversations. New Central's town hall approach brings together community voices and security officials to ask tough questions and demand accountable action. We will uncover how this format could be a blueprint for peace elsewhere or fallout flats without follow-through. And then would also touch on Nigeria's neglect of its past sports heroes. And we visit again the touching story of the national treasure that was Peter Rufai, as he has passed away last week at the age of 61. And then later, we will turn to financial resilience with Money Matters, exploring Nigeria's rocky saving culture with fewer than 1 in 4 adults saving regularly. Imagine. We're going to be highlighting the cultural barriers, the banking mistrust, as well as rising fintech innovations. We hear our ordinary Nigerians are trying to secure their future 1 naira at a time. And as always, we will also get started on the dailies for this morning.
Yes, indeed. While we're getting the dailies ready, what are your banking habits like as a well-aware Nigerian? Huh?
Paycheck. It's easy now. It's paycheck
I think you're going to need that final story yourself, because I'm looking forward to that one. It was put together by business correspondent Udoka. The fact that Nigerians are, well, we're not up to scratch when it comes to financial education. Or how
I
we
do
manage.
have financial education. The problem is that I live paycheck to paycheck.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it's, look, we don't have the financial prosperity that we should have to be able to save the nairas. I don't think we do. With the living cost of living crisis that is spread across, Nigerians have been able to manage it. There's no, I don't know how you want me to be saving naira. Well, I wake up one morning and then the price of fuel went from 850 naira to 925 naira, and I'm buying fuel for 2 households. Rest.
No.
Do you get what I mean? Like, I wake up one morning, you've added extra, what, $1 million to my rent? Do you get what I mean? Like, there are no luxuries.
I know what you're describing.
I don't have any luxuries.
I understand what you're describing.
Yeah.
I will put the name, I'll tag it as Tinubu-nomics. So if you add that to the scheme of things, then you'd understand the situation that every single Nigerian actually faces when it comes to their saving habits and banking habits and stuff like that.
We're living paycheck to paycheck. We're all waiting for the next pay to come in so we can offset another bill. It's just bills. I can't
Inside of that conversation, I think you'll learn a little one or two.
I will.
Yes, you will. All right. Tell you what we're going to do now. We have our very first big report this morning here on Breakfast Extra. You're welcome. Today's big report kicks off with a deep dive into a very worrying truth. It's the cost of politics in Nigeria. It's skyrocketing, and it's pushing away everyone without deep pockets, whether you like it or not. Recent data out of Westminster Foundation for Democracy shows the price tag of political ambitions is astounding. A nomination form for the House of Representatives can set you back at least 2.2 million naira, 2.4 million naira, while reports confirm total campaign expenditures as high as 200 million naira for just one federal seat, far exceeding legal limits. Party godfathers, vote buying, and inflated logistics, all of those costs you also have to factor in. Often funding thugs or, paid delegates. This dominates the landscape. A House seat might cost a candidate up to 500 million naira at the end of the day, while legal battles post-election can easily stretch you $1 billion. So you can see we're talking Rolls-Royce money here. These staggering sums shut out young people, and that's the problem. It also shuts out women and persons with disabilities, often priced out because even setting foot in the race, you have to be loaded. Now, we're going to have Adebowale Olorunmola, country representative of WFD. He wants Nigeria, many Nigerians willing to serve are under or unable to access the political scape due to the high cost. Let's take a look at News Central's report put together by Joshua Imarayi regarding this issue, and we'll be back to start that conversation.
Over the years, the cost of politicking in Nigeria has soared, and with each election cycle, the stakes get even higher. Experts say the growing financial demands and exclusivity in Nigeria's political space have led to the continued marginalization of key demographics, including women, youth, and persons with disabilities.
And if you agree with me that the health of democracy is majorly indicated by the percentage of people participating in the process, then we have a reason to be concerned. Specifically, if you look at the nosediving representation of women in political institutions, particularly the Assembly, National Assembly, State Assembly. It is a major concern.
A recent study by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy on the cost of politics in Nigeria emphasizes the urgent need for government and political parties to adopt innovative strategies to dismantle these financial hurdles.
That's why we're asking that even in the Electoral Act, even in the party's constitution, we have the 35%, but when you talk of the gender bill, it's not being passed. And so it's neutral, because they're not telling us specifically this is what we are giving to the women. So that's why we are saying, as we have these conversations, as we go around amending the constitution, the party's constitution, we want to even start from the parties.
Some politicians, however, argue that political parties are also victims of a flawed system and are often forced to seek unconventional and sometimes questionable means of sustaining their operations.
The political parties themselves are victims of the problems we have. There is no equity in the system. So because constitutionally parties are not the funds or subvention for political parties have been withdrawn. So somehow you have to fight to survive, for your parties to move on, to be part of the system.
Let us jettison the issue of monetization of nomination funds. To do that successfully, because most political parties use that to generate revenue to run the party. And so if we must do that, there must be an alternative means of generating revenue to run the party. If you don't have money, you cannot run a political party anywhere.
As Nigeria approaches future elections, the big question remains, can reforms lower the cost of participation and open the space for broader, more genuine representation? Only time and bold policy decisions will tell. In Abuja, for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Many thanks to Joshua Imarayi there for that report. I mean, summing up the report, it's very clear that politics in Nigeria isn't a competition. It's an exclusive club for the wealthy. Voters dismissed impending entry, razor-thin accountability as well. And now, joining us to sort of unpack this are, first, we're having Adebowale Olorunmola. He joins us from WFD. And also joining us, our very own Joshua Imarayi, who put together the report. Gentlemen, many thanks. We appreciate you for coming on. First of all, Joshua, many thanks for that report. But let me start with Adebowale. Adebowale, how did the cost structure of political campaigns evolve so steeply since 2015?
Thank you so much, Judith and Mazimo, for having me. Let us start between 2017, when the Westminster Foundation for Democracy conducted the first cost of politics study. And we found out that expenses that politicians spend to get into office is like breaking the bank to be able to contest the election. Right from the time that you express interest to contest election, to the time you actually go to campaign, to the time you now complete your campaign, you are elected if you win. And even when you are in office, the cost still continue. And I must say that as at that time, 2017, a House of Representatives respondent indicated that he kept spending. He spent up to 200 million naira. And at that point, he stopped calculating because he will be discouraged if he continued to calculate how much he was spending. So it was spending to win. The question that we should ask ourselves is, how many individuals can afford, with capacity, with credibility, can afford to spend 200 million naira as at 2017 to win election for which the cap was not even up to the 70 million that we have in the Electoral Act today. The Electoral Act today has 70 million as the cap for House of Representatives. And it will interest you to know that in the 2023 general election, another respondent indicated that he spent over 500 million naira and still did not win the election. So it has gone so bad that people spend their life saving, people sell their investments, to be able to contest and win election. And elections are being won by the highest spenders. Yes, money is important in elections, but when you spend beyond what is expected, beyond the legal limit, then it brings to question to what end? Why are you spending? Is it to serve, or is it to invest to be able to recoup with profit, with interest? So it has gone so steep, it has gone so bad that it is now eliminating credible individuals, youth, women, and persons with disability who may not first have the deep pocket to be able to spend so much, or may not have the godfather that could afford to spend so much for them to contest the election.
Well, let me also come to you. As we're looking at this amount that we're seeing, you would think that such an amount would deter people from going into politics, but it also means that they have to go through sometimes nefarious or go have what's the term now? Unlikely bedfellows. So what are we saying in terms of patterns and people who participate in politics to meet this high demand or these steep prices? What do they have to do? What are they doing to get into politics?
Okay, so why would people get to contest an election when they will have to spend so much money? If I got you right, I think it is because of the perception that once you are in power in Nigeria, once you contest election and you win election, you are as good as made. You have access to the Commonwealth. And we have seen it validated by individuals who get into politics and become stinkingly, rich. And of course, by the perks of office, depending on whether you are the president or the governor and what the State House of Assembly has passed, that is going to be your retirement benefit, at the end of 8 years of service. So it is the enticement of the office that comes with, huge, access to public funds that makes people to dig deep into their savings, to sell their properties, and that is talking about what they do, to fund, their elections. I mean, there's been reports of people selling their properties, selling their stocks, getting loans or getting the support of godfathers. In the report, if you go through the report, there was a former speaker who sold his hotel for about 500 million naira and still lost the election. And of course, we are all watching the drama of a godfather who bought the ticket for all contestants in his party in the state. To what end? For him to be able to be in charge of the party structure, to control, the decisions at the state level. So it is about investment. It is about continuous cashing in, on the access to the Commonwealth that is available.
The access to the Commonwealth that's available.
Detriment of the state.
Right. Let me come to you. Yeah. Let me come to you, Joshua.
Just a second, Judith. I'd like to ask Joshua a very interesting question here.
Go ahead.
Joshua, now you put together this report, and from everything that we have seen from the report that you gathered, we note that there is a certain clamor for these offices by people who are themselves already high up there when it comes to the structure of Nigerian economics. These are people who can afford this very high cost of going into politics. And I'm wondering how you can balance this sort of life with the grassroots, the people who are actually at the bottom, who actually can feel what the economy is doing to the average Nigerian. The high cost of fuel, high cost of electricity, transportation, food, they're the ones it's pinching the most. But it will seem like they have no representation, real representation, from people who actually feel what they feel. So while you were gathering this report, how did you balance this out? Seeing the rich and famous go into power, yet the people who actually need representation don't get the individuals who can represent them because they can't afford these high costs of politicking in Nigeria. How did you feel? How did you balance this out in your report?
Well, one thing that we must understand is that some Nigerians, particularly those at the bottom of the ladder, have settled their scores on their mind that they won't get to this position because it is the highest bidder wins it all. So one thing that most of them think in the course of politicking and governance is that these particular offices are reserved for some selected few. And this selected few are those who have the means to get to that point. And the people who are at the bottom of the ladder, they have reserved their own responsibility and roles to say that whenever they need crumbs or maybe mega amounts to satisfy immediate needs, these are the people they run to. So this has always been the equilibrium. The people at the top always give crumbs to those at the bottom. And those at the bottom always believe that those at the top, that whatever they give them is their own benefit of democracy. This has been the case over time in Nigeria. Many Nigerians feel that they are not qualified for this position, not because they don't have the capacity, but because they don't have the financial means. And those who are at the top, who have the financial means, believe that my money can control everything. So this is the mindset. And the entire balance in the entire thing is that those at the bottom always rely on those at the top for house rent, maybe burial ceremony funding, marriage ceremony funding, and the likes of them all.
Now, Mr. Adebowale, you spoke in your entry there about a legal limit for contesting. And I'm really wondering whether these legal limits are adhered to when it comes to politicking in Nigeria. Because we've just noted, and you did in your report as well, told about the very high cost, up to 500 million. And let's not even start talking about after election expenses when it comes to the courts. So are these limits being adhered to by these political bodies or individuals who are going in for office, Mr. Adebowale?
So that is part of the problem that is leading to the steep slide, into the dungeon of the high cost of politics in Nigeria, which is harming our democracy. The fact that we have laws and the laws are not implemented and enforced has continuously set the precedence that you can overspend, beyond the legal limit and get away with it. There is no consequences. And where there is no consequences, people do whatever they want and they get away with it. And the culture of overspending is continuously built.
Mr. Adebowale, what are these legal limits? What do you have? Do we have a number for how much a campaigner or an individual can expend when it comes to politics? Could we know?
Absolutely. If you check the Electoral Act, it is clearly stated that for the president, a candidate is not expected to spend more than 5 billion naira. For the governorship, you're not expected to spend more than 1 billion. For the Senate, you're expected to spend about 100 million. And for the House of Rep, you're expected to spend about 70 million. And it continued downward to the level of the local government chair and the councillor, where you cannot spend more than 30 million. But I told you in my opening that we had a speaker who sold his hotel for 500 million naira, expended virtually everything in contesting to come back, but lost the election. And there was another fellow who confessed to have spent more than 500 million and he didn't return. And you see, it is not about even 500 million. When it gets to post-election litigation, to pay lawyers, sometimes you put together huge numbers of senior advocates of Nigeria to make your case at the level of litigation, and you find people spending like 1 billion to put a team, of SANs together. I mean, that has already gone beyond, the legal limit, depending on what office you are looking at. If you look at the Edo and Ondo State off-cycle election, from the report that was released by a civil society organization, King Park Development Foundation, all of the contestants, particularly for the PDP, the APC, and the Labour Party in Edo State went above the 1 billion benchmark for governorship candidates. And did we see any form of prosecution? There was no prosecution. The report provided evidence that they spent beyond the legal limit. The same thing in Ondo State. The spending in Ondo State was not as huge as that of Edo State, but they also went above the legal limit. But was there a prosecution? There was no prosecution. So what we are saying, in essence, is that the law does not matter. We are not testing the law. We are not putting the law into force. And that is why we keep having that non-enforcement driving the cost of politics, to a level that is beyond the capacity of some of the individuals who are capable, who are competent, who have credibility. It is not about even what you spend to win. It is about what you are bringing into the office. We are complaining about the fact that we don't have the level of development that we're looking forward to in the country. Institutions are not performing their responsibility. It is basically because the people that we are getting to elect are not people who are keen, to engage the office they are competing for and deliver the dividend of democracy. We are people who have been tried and tested, but who do not have the pulse to be able to contest. And why would they even spend so much if they are going to be serving? If it is for service, why would they break the bank to have access to political office? So we need to keep asking ourselves that question. And as a serious nation, begin the process of stemming the huge expenses that politicians undertake to get into office. By the time they get into office, the moral right to call them to accountability is lost.
Okay.
And because they are not responsible to the people, they are more responsible to those that funded, their election.
All right. So just to wrap up, right, because we're out of time, I have to ask, I wonder how vote buying factors into all of this, and what's the way forward?
All right, so somebody said, and I quite agree with the fellow, that politicians are resorting to vote buying because votes have started counting. The vote of the people have started counting. We now have a process put together by the Election Management Body of Nigeria, INEC, that makes it very difficult for fraud to be committed. So the best way out is for you to buy votes. So I think the result, politicians are always looking for loopholes in the system. Now that the system is becoming more and more foolproof, the best you can do is to buy votes. And therefore, vote buying has become one of the biggest part of the election cycle expenses that candidates who wants to win election, have to undertake. And when you look at how much is involved per ward level, sometimes politicians budget between 200,000 and 300,000 per ward. And in the local government, you can have between 10 and 15 wards, and in the state, you can have I think the minimum state that the state with the minimal number of local government is Bayelsa, which has about 8. Now you times that by 8 or by 10 or by 44 in Kano. It's already coming together as a huge amount of money that you have to use to win election. And somebody also said that even if you have to rig election, you also need money. If you look at the report, you will see that properly explained. So it is not only to win election. If you want to rig also, you have to use money. And we've had over and over politicians telling the other ones to go to the courts because they are ready to spend money in the courts. So it is about money and who can outspend the other. If I cannot outspend you in campaign, I will outspend you during election day by buying votes. If I cannot outspend you then, I will outspend you in the courts. And we've seen somebody who came fourth during the election. Imagine being pronounced as winner by the courts.
Mr. Adebowale,
so it is a huge problem that we need to address as a nation.
Yes, indeed. these are very worrying figures, very worrying instances that you are relating here from your report. And, well, we will continue to look at these instances and see perhaps maybe things change. Imarayi, you're very important to this as well. Sorry, but we have actually been enjoying the details that Mr. Adebowale has been giving on this topic. Unfortunately, we are out of time. I wanted to ask you certain questions regarding the lifestyle of these political officers, as we saw inside of your report. But not to worry, I'm sure we'll catch you on another one. Joseph Imarayi and Mr. Adebowale Olorunmola, thank you very much for being our first guests on the Sunday edition for Breakfast Extra.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure.
Thank you. You're watching Breakfast Extra here on News Central Television. We're going on a short break. When we come back, it's time for us to celebrate our legends. Stay with us. Time for our extra special today, and it's us spotlighting our Nigerian football heroes and how the system fails them, as always. The death of Super Eagles legend Peter Rufai at 61 provoked an emotional backlash. Federal and NFF officials are being accused of ignoring players in their twilight years, of only celebrating them in death. Rufai, Nigeria's first World Cup goalkeeper in 1994 and 96, and a pillar of the national team, died quietly, battling illness and reportedly lacking adequate medical support. Fans and former teammates like Etim Isen called the neglect heartbreaking, asking what was stopping the government from helping him while he was alive. Comedian Bovi and others lamented that our heroes are remembered and rewarded only after death. This isn't just Rufai's story. It's Nigeria's sports system under its recurring neglect. Federations, governments, and sponsors deliver applause at finals, but disappear when legends age. Today's report was put together by News Central's correspondent, sports correspondent Udoka Njoko, and also the entire sport desk that chronicles Rufai's legacy. So take a look as we play for you.
As the last line of any team's defense. After the opposition has bypassed players and defensive tactics, the fate of the team rests upon the reflexes of their goalkeeper to save them. They save everything: bullet headers, curling free kicks, long range and short range shots. But the only thing that no goalkeeper can save is that one inevitable shot from the cold and unerring feet of death. And on the 3rd of July 2025, in cold, wet conditions, the legendary goalkeeper Peter Rufai could not save the one shot that all men must concede. The former Nigerian international goalkeeper died at the age of 61 following a long illness. Fondly nicknamed Dodo Manyana, he was renowned for his quick reflexes and acrobatic saves. The nickname became synonymous with his dominant presence between the posts.
Out to the side, could this be the equalizer? No, great save. Rufai's in there.
He was a true pioneer of modern goalkeeping in Nigeria, playing a major role in Nigeria's rise in international football in the 1990s and paving the way for many football players to take their talents beyond the shores of Nigeria. Born on the 24th of August 1963 in Lagos State, into a royal family in the Idimu area, Rufai was known for his agility, calm presence in goal, and leadership skills. He earned over 60 caps for the Super Eagles and became the first Nigerian goalkeeper to play in the UEFA Champions League. But before then, Rufai's club career took him across several countries and leagues. He began playing professionally in Nigeria with Stationery Stores FC and Femo Scorpions, before moving to Benin Republic in 1986 with AS Dragons FC the Olueme, becoming the first Nigerian goalkeeper to play internationally. He then moved to Europe in the late 1980s, playing for Lokeren and then Beveren, both in Belgium. Again, becoming the first Nigerian goalkeeper to play professional football in Europe. He also played in the Netherlands with Go Ahead Eagles and in Portugal with Farense. In 1983, he made his debut for Nigeria and went on to serve the national team for more than a decade. He scored a goal during Nigeria's 6-0 win over Ethiopia in an AFCON qualification game in 1993, becoming the first goalkeeper to score a goal for the national team. He was in goal for the Super Eagles during their AFCON victory in 1994, making crucial saves as Nigeria defeated Zambia 2-1 in the final.
And in the end, Nigeria, narrowly the stronger over 90 minutes, are the 1994 African Nations Cup winners.
That same year, Rufai was Nigeria's #1 at the 1994 FIFA World Cup, the country's first ever appearance at the tournament. In 1997, he made history by becoming one of the few Nigerian goalkeepers to play in the Spanish La Liga, where he played for Hercules and later Deportivo La Coruña. He ended his club career at Gil Vicente in Portugal. Rufai retired from international football after the 1998 World Cup, but remained one of the most respected figures in Nigerian football history. After retirement, Rufai focused on sports development and football mentorship in Nigeria. He returned to the classroom in 2023, enrolling at the National Institute for Sports in Lagos to obtain formal coaching qualifications. Committed to youth development, Rufai established the Star Football Academy in Lagos. He is also a vocal advocate for balancing academics and sports, and he has encouraged Nigerian parents to support their children's football dreams alongside education. He also dabbled in media work and occasionally featured as a guest analyst on television during major international tournaments. Peter Rufai, the legendary shot stopper who stopped great football players from scoring, could not stop death from scoring. He is the 6th member of the glorious class of '94 who won the 1994 Africa Cup of Nations to have passed away following the deaths of Wilfred Agbonivare, Stephen Keshi, Uche Okafor, Thompson Oliha, and Rashidi Ekini.
I want to pay a tribute to my late friend, legendary Peter Rufai. Unfortunately, we have to address him now as late, but it is what it is. May so rest in peace. The shocking news and the wave, it was tough. It was tough. Peter Rufai, that I knew, was a top professional, disciplined human being, jokes when he needs to, and be serious when he needs to. But having lost Rufai is a big blow and a big loss to the entire football community. What can we do? God give it, God take it. And I pray Almighty God to give the family the strength to swallow this bitter pill. It isn't a bitter pill to swallow. For us to recover from this, it's going to take a while. But Peter Rufai will always remain in the hearts of every one of us. At this point, I want to say bye and continue to rest in peace.
The biggest legacy Peter Rufai leaves behind is that he was always ready to defend the national colors, no matter the situation. As the lights guide Peter Rufai to his heavenly home to join his comrades, he leaves behind a nation who will forever remain grateful and proud to have called him Nigeria's #1. There will always be one Dodo Mayana. For New Central TV, Udoka, Njoko.
I'm sure that's going to hit differently with different people. I'm glad we got to play that here on Breakfast Extra. Summing up the system, well, it's giving a very glamorous view initially, but then again, right after the lights go out, it's not so glamorous. We're joined by Tunde Koiki, head of the sports editor's desk here at News Central. And, well, Tunde, you're welcome. And
Thank you.
You had a special spot in your heart for this individual and their stories that are untold. I know that you scripted that, by the way. That was...
well, great work by Udoka.
It
was a real tearjerker, by the way. So
that's fantastic.
It was a wonderful tribute. No, of course, it was a wonderful tribute, I must say. We played it yesterday as well. It was a fantastic tribute that needed to be done.
Yeah.
But there's a special reason why you're here.
Exactly.
Right? A very, very special one. Not only are you the head of the sports team, but most importantly, you have a personal relationship with Peter Rufai.
Yeah, I actually grew up knowing Peter Rufai. I grew up in a street called the Fagbaimu Street in the Butemeta, and his aunt lived right beside our building. So he would come regularly when he was in the country with his wife, with his kids. He would come and say hi, and every time he showed up, there was bedlam. Hey, Rufai. Everybody wanted to get a piece of him. Everybody wanted to shake his hand. Everybody wanted to be with him. You could see he was slightly nervous, but one thing he was always unfailingly polite. He was always very personable.
How was it like growing up with like superstars living next door?
You know, it's interesting because the same lady, his aunt, was also related to Nigerian actress Taiwo Ajayi Lycett.
Oh,
so she would come to as well. So it was amazing. It was an interesting childhood because Rufai had a story that really should have been a Nollywood movie.
Yeah.
He wasn't born in Lagos. He was actually born in northern Nigeria, which is why, and he grew up in Port Harcourt, which is why when he speaks, you can't really find any trace of Yoruba inflection in his speech. And he rarely converses in Yoruba. He prefers to speak English. This was because just before the troubles of the Civil War, he spent they were in northern Nigeria. His father escaped, ran back to Lagos. His mother also took him to Port Harcourt. But interestingly, from what I've gathered, his first name wasn't actually Peter. It was probably a Muslim name. So if you just suppose that with the troubles of them, they didn't want him to have any trouble with, okay, he's a northerner, they would lynch him or anything like that. So they gave him the name Peter Rufai. Now, he grew up in Port Harcourt, got into goalkeeping by accident. I think they were playing a football game. Then his team was, the goalkeeper got angry and left, so he just jumped into the post. Yeah. And from there, it became history.
Tell us how he got to be called Dodo Mayana.
Well, that's another interesting story as well. So he was given the name Dodo by Peter Fregene. Peter Fregene was also an Nigerian. Now, there were 4 goalkeepers in camp that time. There was Emmanuel Okala, there was Besto Bedegbe, there was Peter Fregene, and he was the youngest. Now, they were training in Portugal ahead of a competition there. I think it was also Gloria, who was the coach of the Nigerian national team then. So the other goalkeepers went and did their thing. Then he came in last, being the youngest. And the crowd that were watching in the stands, the Portuguese crowd, they were so amazed by what he was doing and everything. But they behind him call him Dodo. They didn't know that wasn't his name. So when it was done, everybody was, so training is over. So Dodo, and they look at him and he said,
Mayana.
So there's a Portuguese word for tomorrow is Amayana. Amaya, actually.
Amaya, okay.
Amaya. So it became a play on Dodo, Mayana. So they were asking him, Dodo, are you done? He said, Amaya. I'll be here tomorrow. So that's how it became Dodo, Mayana.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, let's face the sad and hard facts here, that he lived a life in his latter life of neglect. We don't know exactly what illness he was going through and how it resulted in his death. But there's a bigger thing here, ill concepts here to look at, and it's how Nigeria actually does not regard its heroes. I mean, if you talk about football, the first name that comes to my mind growing up would be Dodo Mayana. It would be Peter Rufai. I almost had the privilege of meeting him once. I was looking forward to that, but never got to. Back then, I used to work at a sports radio station, but that never happened. So it's much more than just a superhero. He's a legacy. How can we let such a legacy just lights out like that? And how does this also affect other sports heroes in Nigeria?
It's interesting you should say that, because at this moment now, Nigeria is dealing with a crisis where a lot of athletes are losing faith in the system. You might have heard the celebrated case of Favour Ofili, one of Nigeria's most promising young athletes who's already considering taking up Turkish leadership, Turkish citizenship. And this was very simply because of the fact that she'd been failed by the system here in Nigeria. She didn't. She went to the Tokyo Olympic Games. She wasn't allowed to compete because of ineptitude on the part of the federation. Also, at the last Olympic Games in Paris, she didn't compete in the women's 100-meter race because of some other issues as well. That's 2
consecutive Olympic Games. And for if you're an athlete in Nigeria, if you're in track and field, that's where you make money. The Olympic Games and the World Championships. That's where the sponsors give you bonuses for appearance fees, for making it to the final, for podium places. And that's where you make money. So she'd been denied twice of that opportunity. And she thought, why continue with this? And this is really the problem. You look, and it's not an isolated case. You look at likes of Teslim Balogun, I mean, Rashidi Yekini, Muda Lawal. There's a long list, Hogan Kidbasi, Big Tiger. There's a long list of decorated sportsmen who have given their all for this country. But in their latter years, they are neglected. The later Kayode Tijani, we used to chronicle how the graveyard of Muda Lawal had been turned into a trash heap. Wow. That shows you the kind of neglect that they suffered even after death. But you ask yourself, how do they honor sports heroes in other climes, in so-called developed countries in the West? You look, they name edifices after them. They are giving, primary care. They are giving, a pride of place in society. You honestly cannot say that is the same here in Nigeria. Yes, we understand that the situations are different because of the different economic indices, but the minimum that is required for anyone who has given his all to serve Nigeria should be at least a befitting end to your life in terms of primary medical care and a proper befitting burial, a state burial minimum. Unfortunately, I cannot think of someone who passed away having won the colors of Nigeria who was given a state burial. Even Stephen Keshi, his burial was, I'm not going to use the word laughable, but it could have been better. It should have been better for a man who was really, was quite a lot. Now, Peter Rufai was from Lagos State. His father was actually the king of Imo. He was actually from the royal family. When his father passed away, they asked him to come and take his father's place, but he was a professional footballer. And then he said, I can't leave my career for this. When he even came to Lagos, believe it or not, he was in Port Harcourt when he came to Lagos. His stationary stores, one of the legendary clubs in football, Nigerian football at that time, was scouting for new players. He heard about it, took a night bus, came to Lagos, and he passed the trials. Now, typically in Nigeria, they're about to do some Ajibajo, oh, he's not Yoruba, he's not this. And he said, no, I'm actually from Lagos. This is where I'm from. My father's from Idimu. Then they came looking for his aunt beside my house, who now convinced everyone that, yeah, he's actually our son. He's from this, he's from that, and his family reunited. So you're thinking that if at all anyone should honor him, it should be Lagos. Yeah. Because he was a proud son of this particular soil.
It was a blood part and parcel of the land.
Exactly.
Let's go back to what you were talking. You said Stephen Keshi's, you don't want to use the term laughable, but his burial seemed like it. And at least they all need befitting burial. The lackadaisical attitude of our, MDAs, whether it's a ministry, sports ministry, departments, agencies, it's all the same, right? And so to stop these recurrent neglect of our, of our victors, as I'm going to describe them, who have served this country dutifully and made us proud that their names will continue to be in the hall of history forever. Do you think that social programs sort of, I don't know, I mean, if you look abroad, the UK or the US, there's services that they get, there's payment they get every month, should that start be something that now needs to be legislated so far that everyone who has served in sports, military, the police service, I mean, police, they do get, but before they even get the money, it's hard, that they start, do you think that way it can work?
You see, Nigeria is a country of incredible extremes and paradoxes. Now, in this country, we have a stadium named after a despot, a man who nearly ran in this country into the ground, Sani Abacha. Go across the world, you never find a stadium named after Pol Pot, Augusto Pinochet, or Hitler. But you find a stadium named after Sani Abacha in this country. That's absolutely incredible. In this same country, we have state governors who have looted the till, yet you still have them receiving fantastic pensions. They have a house in Lagos, a house in Abuja, and this and that. But those who actually put their bodies, their blood, their sweat, their youth on the line, their lives on the line, like you mentioned, military personnel, sportsmen and women, the likes of Okoraj, who died in active service.
Yes.
Those who put their bodies on the line, they are forgotten and neglected. So I totally agree.
Okoraj just started, I remember my little cousin, about 5 years, we're passing through stadium, and she goes, what is that?
The bus,
thing. And then I start to say, she's like, that's a man, you know?
Yeah,
She goes, that's a man, because it's covered in grime and dirt, you know? That isn't
that
even
bad?
maintained. Yeah, no, it's not painted.
That just goes to show you,
yeah,
even in small ways,
even
how
the small ways
we
neglect
don't even
that
have
they face.
a Hall of Fame. A Hall of Fame for Nigerian
I think you touched on
sportsmen
something
and
even
women.
better than Hall of Fame. I mean, Judith also touched on it. When you talk about what is owed people who have served Nigeria, at least a good pension, at least housing and health care. In the sports industry, how come these are taking the back seats, if at all they are awarded seats at all?
That's because sports is never really given primary place.
But it makes so much money.
Yes,
I mean,
it does.
we have...
And it also, and it's also
such
a major
allocation
unifier.
for exactly.
The 1994
major unifier, there you go.
The 1994 team that won the Africa Cup of Nations, in 1994, they just got their houses that were promised to them decades later. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? That they don't really give, they don't really care about these people. And that's the honest truth. So we should really be doing much more for them. I agree with what Judith said. There should be, like, in other climes, there's social security for everyone, not necessarily for heroes. But there should be one put primarily in place for, members of the armed forces, for the police, and for sportsmen. Because their service is different from the service that you and I render. A lot of people have argued that, look, these were professional sportsmen, they earn money in their prime, in their time. But let's be honest, how much did they earn back then?
Again, and also, what's your business, how much they earned as well? It's like, okay, so they earn money, and so does that change the fact that they should not be honored and they should not be taken care of? If I'm earning, that is my work. I worked for it. Don't be policing how much I earn. Oh, you made money, you should be taking care of it.
The honest truth really is that the minimum required, the minimum that they should get is at least some kind of health benefits, which ensures that they can walk into any government hospital and receive treatment free of charge. Then they should also receive a state burial. A state, I'm not saying they should name, we don't have too many edifices to be named after anybody, but the minimum required is state burial and proper medical care.
We're going to be revealing a couple of pictures now of some past heroes whom we thought or think that could have at least had better remembrance or been remembered in their heydays better by the system. While this is going through, I'm going to ask how the passing of Peter Rufai and other sports veterans who were neglected in their heydays has affected grassroots sports. What's the outlook for people who want to go into sports? Is there that drive to actually even want to go into sports anymore? Because I don't see stadium as populated as what it used to be before, and I go there regularly, and it's dwindling.
It's interesting that because Christian Chukwu, who was captain of the team that won the 1980 Cup of Nations, was also former coach of the Super Eagles himself. He died just a few months ago, and he hasn't been buried yet. So everybody's still hoping that maybe finally somebody will give a former sports star a befitting burial. And while he was alive, he had health challenges as well. It took the intervention of private, high net worth individuals to ensure that he received the kind of care that he got. I think it was the MD, Femi Otedola, who actually stepped in and actually sponsored his medical bills to ensure that he was given some kind of proper attention. And it doesn't have to fall on private individuals to do this. These players or these athletes, these sportsmen, they played for the Nigerian national team. They
brand Nigeria.
They brand Nigeria, the country Nigeria. The national anthem was played. They won those honors in the colors of Nigeria. When you go by what you say, believe it or not, there are still hundreds, thousands of people who still believe in a career in sports. Today alone, I've gotten 2 calls from a young, incredibly talented boxer who wants to turn pro and is asking me how. They still see it as a future.
Ambition is ambition.
I mean, it's a country of 200 million people. The minimum and the vast majority of it is a young population who still see maybe not education as the way forward, but they see the Anthony Joshuas, they see the Victor Siemens, they see the Favor Phillies. They believe they can get to that level with the kind of talent that they possess. So there will always be those who come through the ranks, through the grassroots, who believe that there's a future in sports. And the sad part is, if they are given a choice to represent Nigeria and other countries, there's only one choice they will make.
Of course. You'll feel away.
One choice they will make. Lastly, as we wrap things up.
Oh, by the way, Favor Phillies is being offered a $500,000 sweetener to change her nationality to Turkey.
Would you take it?
That's 750 million naira.
Would you take it?
Nigerian athlete has ever got to 750 million
Speed
naira.
of lightning. Lightning, speed of sound.
You were going to say this.
Which one is faster, sound or light? It's light. Speed of lightning. I got to ask you before we go, if you were to give the last words to Peter as a farewell goodbye, what would it be?
Ooh, will your handkerchiefs are here? Because it's going to be a tearjerker.
Judith, that's I've been trying to stop him from crying all
session,
and you have to go and do this now. But please go ahead.
He was an amazing man. He was an amazing man. He was always incredibly polite. And the thing I liked about him was the fact that, like I said, he was always ready to defend Nigeria. There were stories of him arriving at the camp injured, but willing to put his body on the line.
What was one moment, one thing that you remember, something from a childhood that stood out for you that you were like, that's a solid guy?
I met him many years later, and I introduced myself. Of course, he didn't know who I was. And I started reminding him of back in the days, Nebute Meta, his aunt, asked about his son, Korede. And he looked at me and said, You definitely know me. You definitely know me quite well. And he was very nice, very personable, very approachable, very warm. He was a hell of a guy. I've never heard anyone have a bad thing to say about Peter Rufai. And that's saying a lot in this industry, where it's a pretty small industry and people know this and know about different things, about different people. But everywhere he went, everyone he met, they always had one thing to say about. He was always incredibly polite, very approachable, and very, very down to earth. So I think that's the biggest tribute I can pay to him.
Your farewell words to him. Your farewell words, you haven't done it.
Farewell words, well, like I said, he was always ready. He was always ready for everything, to defend Nigeria. So I can just hope that when he gets to, he can wait for us in heaven, all those who loved him.
All those who loved him.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's take a break now, and we'll be back with more. Stay tuned. Second hour here for Breakfast Extra, and our next big story, and a big story indeed it is. In Gombe this past Friday, opposition heavyweights PDP, SP, ADP, LP, and disillusioned APC members stamped a united front aimed at wresting power from the ruling party come 2027. Convened by Jibrin Bade, PDP's 2023 gubernatorial candidates, the coalition lambasted Governor Yahaya's administration for eroding infrastructure, doubling poverty and also escalating insecurity. It sprouted from the soil of national-level realignments. What began in Abuja has now taken roots in Gombe. The alliance isn't surface-level handshakes and politics. ADC's national profile just got a serious upgrade. Atiku, Peter Obi, El-Rufai, Amechi, and others are now rallying behind its umbrella. The intention: to channel Nigeria's fragmented opposition into one resolute bloc that can challenge APC's grip. But questions abound. Will PDP giants like Atiku, for instance, play second fiddle to Obi's momentum? Can heterogeneous egos coexist long enough to stick the landing in 2027?
And so to break this down, we invited two voices from the heart of the party communication. We're going to be joined subsequently by Bala Ibrahim, who's the National Publicity Director of APC. He will join us. We also have Abayomi Arabambi, he's the National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party which is the Abure-led faction of the Labour Party. Also joining us on the program today is Mr. Ken Asukwa. He's a Labour Party spokesperson for the Nenadi Usman-led faction. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you for coming on. Let me start with you, Mr. Ken. Now, the APC has called this recycled chaos. What specifically makes it, in your term? First of all, the move by his person, the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, joining the ADC coalition. What are your thoughts of the party and the thoughts of Labour Party members of the Nenadi Usman faction?
Thank you, Judith. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
All right. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Nigerians. You see, I don't like the intro that you gave, because I think I am going to start on that note before I come into the question you asked here. You see, there is no faction in the Labour Party. There is only one national chairman of Labour Party, and the acting national chairman of Labour Party, as it stands today, is Senator Nenadi Usman. So the issue of faction does not exist. So I deserve an apology. The Labour Party deserves an apology for that appellation or for that remark, because I have a reason for saying this. On the 4th of April this year, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, the highest court in the land, gave a landmark judgment in a matter involving Julius Abure and the National Working Committee of his era and Senator Nenadi Usman. And in that judgment, the Supreme Court of Nigeria clearly, unambiguously stated that Julius Abure's tenure as the national chairman of Labour Party had long expired. They did not mean sweats in stating that fact. So I don't know why the media keeps oxygenating Julius Abure by giving him that tag, a factional leader of Labour Party. He was a former national chairman of the Labour Party, and as it stands today, he is a suspended former national chairman of the Labour Party. He's not even a member of the party as it stands today. So please, I appeal to the Nigerian people, especially the media, to stop giving credence to people who, and if I come out today and say that I am the president of Nigeria, the media cannot describe me, Ken Asafa, as the president of Nigeria, because I never stood for election to become the president of Nigeria. The president of Nigeria, as we know him today, is President Atiku. So the media cannot start describing me as a factional president when I'm not the president. So if Julius Abure decides to call himself the national chairman of the Labour Party against the judgment of the Supreme Court, it is contemptuous of any Nigerian to call him by that name. Contempt of court ex facie, because this is a judgment of the Supreme Court that said that this man had long ceased to be the national chairman of the Labour Party. Now, coming to the question you asked about the participation of the leader of the Labour Party, His Excellency Peter Rufai, in the coalition. You see, on the 25th of May, the Labour Party issued a statement saying that the participation of Peter Rufai in the coalition received the blessing, the support, and approval of the party. You see, Peter Rufai himself has pointedly, in several occasions, on different fora, he has maintained that his participation in that coalition, that he's not in for any coalition that does not end hunger, that does not seek to restore the dignity of the Nigerian people, that does not seek to end the insecurity plaguing the Nigerian people, that does not seek to end the Nigerian, more than 3.5 million Nigerians today who are in the IDP camps, who are refugees in their own country, that he is not participating in any coalition that does not seek to end the misery of the Nigerian people, who have been wallowing in abject poverty since the APC government came on board in 2015. So, and in doing this, the leader of the party has come to realize that, look, there is a need to build bridges in trying to do this. In the X post that he made just a day after that coalition, the unveiling of the coalition, he made it clear that even though sometimes the building of these bridges might not come as easy as you may look at it, but these are painful sacrifices that you have to make to get Nigeria restarted. So I think I will begin on this note.
All right. Ken, I must say thank you so much for that submission. Mr. Arabambi, you do have a right to reply. Now, I'm going to ask you, first of all, Mr. Ken, you asked that, you're angry at that intro, so let me apologize. And the reason why I'm apologizing is, of course, I have to accord you that respect and you demanded, and so I give it to you. But also, I do have to make a case for the media, right? The faction, the Abure-led faction, did ask Peter Obi to rescind his membership of the party for joining the ADC, hence why Mr. Arabambi is here, right? And Nenadi Usman's led faction came out to say he's perfectly fine being part of the party. And so as media, we must report what the fact is, and that's just what it is. You might say that there's no faction in the party, but it appears to be so. And so I will come to you, Mr. Arabambi. You have the right to reply to Mr. Ken, but also, where does the Labour Party stand at your end of the table, of the Labour Party table? Where does the Labour Party stand in the coalition mix? Is this a welcome development for the future of democracy in Nigeria? Mr. Arabambi.
Well, thank you very much. I think, you see, this was the problem that we had, when we brought in Mr. Peter Obi to Labour Party, because there were people that are not conversant with the Electoral Act or the Constitution of Nigeria. I am disturbed by what he just said now, that the Supreme Court said Abure tenure has expired. Supreme Court said Abure is not the chairman, but he was unable to tell you the Supreme Court affirmed Nenadi. Now let me educate you. You don't come to here and you start to distort facts. The Supreme Court said issue of leadership is not justiciable. So let me educate you on what the Supreme Court says is not justiciable. When Supreme Court said issue of leadership is not justiciable, it also happens to Ode and Anyanwu. Remember, Anyanwu went to court, High Court, the Court of Appeal, Supreme Court. His matter was dismissed on the fact that issue of leadership is not justiciable and that parties should revert back to their constitution. They were just a joiner. They were never a party to that matter. They were a joiner thinking they can come into the party through the back door. So as far as we are concerned, on the INEC portal up to today, Nenadi's man is alien to INEC. So when court said issue is not justiciable, please, we don't want you these PDP people to come and be distorting facts to Nigeria. I am not a lawyer, but I challenge any lawyer to come and prove me otherwise. That when Supreme Court said issue of leadership is not justiciable, meaning he has declared somebody and not, he has removed somebody. Courts do not have the power to determine who is the leader of a party, and that was why today PDP wrote to INEC, only the acting chairman. All of you were there when they called them, or the governor went to meet them, and INEC said, go back and respect your constitution. And what did they do? They came back to their neck and they reaffirmed Anyanwu as the chairman, as the national secretary of the party. So people should not come on here to say, oh, Abure have been removed. We do not know you people, because as far as we are concerned, they nothing remain the chairman of the Yam Festival of this Peter B group. You people who are doing your Yam Festival, it is not a meeting of Labour Party where you have a governor and a former presidential candidate sending letter. Let me educate you. In Electoral Act, only the chairman and secretary can call for a meeting, and it is there, Section 82(1). Said, when you want to do NEC, convention, or congresses, the national chairman and secretary shall, is what they say. And let me educate you by what they mean by shall. It is compulsory you do not have an doctor. The chairman and secretary shall write to INEC, giving them at least 21-day notice. Section 82(5) says, failure to notify INEC shall render the outcome in nullity. So the outcome of your meeting, your Yam Festival in Abia and in Abuja, have been rendered, a complete nullity. So we have to do away, with that. For us, when you are doing a merger or when you are doing, you are a coalition, you need the backing of your party, because most of these people, especially, most of these people from Labour Party, they don't know something that the law prescribe anybody. When you are in a party and you want to go and run another party, you don't have a leg in, leg out. You will be automatically disqualified. But they knew what they were doing, and that was why we make it exactly clear to them that he has 48 hours. And let me be very frank, we are convening NWC meeting soon where they will be recommended for expulsion. We do not want this kind of characters in Labour Party. A man who could not build our party and want to go and build Nigeria. When you are not faithful in little, you cannot be faithful in much. That's what the Bible says. So we don't know the characters, the credentials that will be parading. But for us, he cannot be in Labour Party and now be negotiating.
Mr. Arabambi.
He's not our leader.
Mr. Arabambi.
Did not or be one.
Mr. Arabambi. Just a second, right? Let's state the facts here, all right? And I think facts is what's going to guide this conversation, right? If you're saying that that Mr. Peter Obi did not do anything for the party, the presidential votes that was collated at the end will sort of then be false at this point, because what used to be a two-man horse race quickly became a three-man horse race, garnering over millions of votes in that election of 2023. And I remember when he went to tribunal, the very Abure that you stand for and that you're loyal to was the person who was by his side throughout the entire process, hand by hand, standing with him and even addressing the press at the High Court in Abuja and the tribunal in Abuja. And so your popularity that shot up in 2022 and 2023 was by his movement. Don't you think it's unfair to sort of paint him in this manner, that he has done nothing for the party? And do you not think that his move to the coalition is in some way a benefit for the party?
Let me be very frank with you. When he went there, and the following day we issue a statement, if Obi, character, integrity can pull him through, why was he on Zoom meeting with some people claiming, oh, I only went there for discussion, I have not left Labour Party? Let me tell you, individual don't make a party, party made individual, and that was the mistake the coalition of the total element did against Jonathan in 2014. All these people in APC that we are talking about, they were the ones that vilified that professor, and they came back to put that scandalous administration of Buhari on us for 8 years. And that is what we are facing today. The same thing they did that time is what they want to do now. Agree people without no economic blueprint. That was what they did that time, including Professor Wale Soyinka, all of them, including the president. All of them were there when they pushed them out of government and they brought in Buhari upon us, who destroyed our education, who destroyed our economy for 8 years, upon which Tinubu now came on board. And this is what they don't want to do. They don't want to join the president to clear the base they created for that, their scandalous 8 years administration.
Mr. Rabambi,
and they are now...
just a second, Mr. Rabambi. Thank you very much for your submission, but we have to introduce our other guests. We have joining us now Mr. Bala Ibrahim, National Publicity Director of the APC. Mr. Bala Ibrahim, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Now, Mr. Bala Ibrahim, I'm going to go right ahead and ask, well, from what we've seen here, this very short session that we've had, the dispute between the two factions of the LP and the coalition that was called for on Friday, including the APC, the PDP, the SDP, and the LP. What do you make of the mix of individuals that we have? Some of them still in certain levels of reconciliation, others in dispute. Wike, the FCT minister, actually said, and I quote, he said, only a well-organized PDP can offset the APC. From your standpoint as the National Publicity Secretary, what do you think of the coalition that was formed last week, and how far do you think it could go?
Mr. Bala Ibrahim,
Mr. Bala Ibrahim, I hope you heard my question. I do not think Mr. Bala Ibrahim can hear us, unfortunately. I hope that we can get that connection going so he can answer that question. But I'm going to come back to Mr. Ken. Mr. Ken, if you're still there, can we just get a confirmation on your audio, please?
He's there.
All right, Mr. Ken.
I'm here.
All right, Grant. So, Mr. Ken, there has been plenty of back and forth about the LP and the struggles from within. But can the LP get behind Mr. Peter Obi and this coalition here and help with these disputes that are happening within the party? Note that the PDP also has its own share of the same kind of disputes within it. If these parties are coming together with their fractions or factions or however you might want to call it, how does that add up when it comes to the coalition as an entire body itself? Will it stand a chance against anybody, any opposition like the APC it's going up against, do you think?
Yes, I will begin by telling you that the Labour Party is fully with Mr. Peter Rufai in this coalition. And you see, when I received the invitation for this program, I was told, even the flyer that was sent to me by Judy, I was meant to understand that I was coming here to, to meet with the APC publicity director. I didn't know that somebody who, I don't want to use some despicable words in describing anyone here, but I didn't expect that we will be coming here instead of addressing.
My apologies, Mr. Ken, but I would like you to please focus on the question here regarding, Mr. Ken, I'd like you to please focus on the question regarding the coalition. My apologies, but we're trying to manage time here, and there's plenty of conversation to be had.
There is no difference between him and the APC guy. So I am facing two APC members here on this studio. Yeah, because I consider him as an APC man as well, even though he says he's a Labour Party member. But let me deal with the issue of the coalition.
Yes, please.
The issue of the coalition, like I've told you, Peter Rufai is in this coalition fully backed by the Labour Party to deal with the issue of hunger ravaging Nigerian people. Just the other day, the president of Nigeria went to Nasarawa State and insulted the Nigerian people who are living in IDP camps by making reference to the coalition members as internally displaced persons. Today, as we stand today, according to UN Refugee Agency, 3.5 million Nigerians are living in IDP camps. That is 1.6% of the entire population of 230 million Nigerians that are living in IDP camps. And they are not living there because they chose to be there. They are living in IDP camps because this government has dislocated them from their houses, from their natural places, natural habitat where they were supposed to be. Then this president had the nerve to taunt them that they are living in IDP camps by trying to make a joke out of the coalition. Now, let me tell you the huge number, what you need to understand about this thing I'm saying, because it is frightening when you get to see the numbers. Now, globally, according to the UN Refugee Agency, we have 244 million people globally living in IDP camps. I mean, refugees all over the world. Nigeria, if you take the 3.5 million people who are living in IDPs in Nigeria, Nigeria contributes about 3% of the global refugee crisis all over the world. Now, we have 20 million Nigerian out-of-school children. According to UNESCO reports, that is just 8.2% of the global out-of-school children. Of the 244 million out-of-school children globally, Nigeria contributes a whopping 8.2%. That is what Peter Rufai is dealing with, and that is what this president put on the heads of the people that they dislocated from their places. 20 million Nigerian citizens who are not able to get education on account of the decapitation of these citizens by this APC government.
Okay.
Just last week, a report filtered out that
now, Mr. Ken,
that 149 trillion naira. No, okay. I need to give you this because
Mr. Ken, my apologies, but we do have a shortage of time, and we do want to get everybody's entry in. I will come back to ask you about the dynamic between Peter Rufai and Atiku in just a minute, but I'm being told that we have Mr. Bala Ibrahim back with us. First off, can I confirm your audio, Mr. Bala? Can you please hear us? Mr. Ibrahim, are you there? All right.
Yes, I am.
Oh, grand. Good. So I had asked from earlier regarding the coalition, what you see from your standpoint regarding the coalition, the different parties. I also referenced Mr. Wike, the FCT minister's comments regarding the PDP being the only opposition that can offseat the APC. What do you think about these situations within each of these parties and then as a coalition?
Well, thank God, it is a show of embarrassment. From the way and manner the coalition started, it means the whole project is dead on arrival. It shows that these are people that are not united. They don't have anything in common other than anger and displeasure with the way and manner the country is being governed. And as a party, the APC is happy that it is working towards fulfilling the promises it made to deliver democratic dividends to the people. These are people that are disgruntled. They are people that are not going to have unity of purpose. There is just no way they could be able to unite and focus on leadership that will be beneficial to the country. So as a party, we are very happy because they have shown their true color and character to Nigerians.
Speaking of color and character, I want to talk about El-Rufai, the former governor of Kaduna State and also the former FCT minister as well, who was a loyal member of the party, one of the founding members of the APC, and also a very vocal supporter of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during his campaign run for 2023. So I do have to ask, would you also say that the same for him in terms of character?
Certainly the qualities you painted of Malam Nasru El-Rufai are true. Malam Nasru El-Rufai was very loyal to the party. He had contributed enormously to the success of the party, and is one politician you cannot dismiss with a wave of the hand. So, but there is the saying which Malam Nasru El-Rufai himself emphasized: when the facts change, one changes his position. We don't know these facts. Malam Nasru has not given us this fact that warranted or stimulated his change of position. But the party still stands by what it was made to stand for. And I believe Malam Nasru El-Rufai is one person that will not enter into an agreement with any set of people unless and until he is convinced they are going to work for the same purpose. And I can tell you these people will fail him. They will not go in the long run in the same direction with him. And I hope he will not be put in the dilemma of confusion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bala Ibrahim. Mr. Ken, I'm going to come back to you now. Now, I had asked a question regarding the Atiku-Obi dynamics here, and I want to further modify that question. Looking at the situation inside of the PDP, looking at the situation inside of the LP and the factions, they are fractionized in some way or the other. How do you think that these two parties, these two individuals are going to fare when it comes to the question everybody is asking out there as regards presidency, vice presidency? What's going to happen? Who's going to be what? If we come to that conversation. Mr. Ken.
Well, I don't think I'm in a position to answer that because this is a political party has just been bettered, and well, it was in existence until they moved in there. So I am not in a position to answer who is going to be the presidential candidate or who is going to be the VP. Yeah, but one thing I need to answer here, which I need to clarify, especially to Mr. Bala and other APC members, is that coalition is a coalition of the Nigerian people. It is not a coalition of Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar and all the big names that we saw that day. It's a coalition that is peopled and championed by the Nigerian people who feel very aggrieved with the system. So it is not Atiku Abubakar or Peter Obi that is because I heard him use the term that they are the aggrieved people. Yes, Nigerians are aggrieved because $1 today exchanges for Naira exchanges to $1 today for 1,600. And when this government came on board, it was 600 Naira to $1. So that is why Nigerians are aggrieved. It is not just these two people that are aggrieved or the big names you saw that day. When APC government came on board in 2015, a bag of rice was 8,500 Naira. Today it's more than 100,000. So that is why Nigerians are aggrieved. Today, a liter of fuel sells for almost 1,000 Naira per liter. When this government came on board, it was just about 200 and something. And they increased it. And the money they said they saved from it, they used it to purchase a presidential jet for 150 million. Okay. Part of what they saved from there, they said they used it to, they have awarded a contract to build road for $16 billion US.
Mr. Ken.
People are very hungry.
Right. Thank you so much for just pointing out the priorities and what this administration is doing. We want to say thank you. Now, remember, Mr. Ken, we don't have enough time, so I want to very quickly pass a right of reply to Mr. Arabambi. Mr. Arabambi, two things stood out here. The very first is that you have been labeled an APC, a covert APC member, and that the second is that there is no decorum. I'm going to use a lighter term here, although to quote Mr. Bala Ibrahim directly, he did say that, I'm going to quote, he said, ashamed, that you guys are not ashamed at how divided the parties and how angry the members of your party are. Your right of reply, are you a covert member or is of the APC, and is there decorum? Mr. Arabambi.
Thank you very much. Everybody in this whole world knows that it is a taboo, an abomination. If Satan will prepare supper and ask the disciples of Jesus Christ to come and eat with him, he's seated down there like the locus to determine my membership of the party. This is my 17 years. I am not like his boss, who was in NABGA, who was a PDP, who came to Labour Party, just to rescue his political career and also now in ADC. So he, as a person, does not have that locus. He's not known in the Labour Party. This is my 17th year. So I am not going to respond to him because he is just like acting, like I said, when Satan prepares for the disciple of Jesus Christ, we have two parallel lines, that can never meet. Now, with respect, to the coalition, as far as I'm concerned, I see this coalition, as a mere political jamboree.
I didn't ask about the coalition. I didn't ask about the coalition. I asked about the comments that was made by Mr. Bala Ibrahim regarding your sentiment, regarding the divide in your party, the Labour Party. He said that your display today, you all should be ashamed of yourself and that you're displaying anger instead of unity, and that APC is a unifier. What would be your response to that?
I'm coming.
There's no time, man. I just need that because there's no time. There isn't any time, Mr. Abayomi.
I am speaking as a Nigerian. I said in 2014, all of us knew when El-Rufai, Atiku, all of them, they mobilized themselves, including Professor Wale Soyinka and the present president. All of them gathered together, to push Jonathan and brought in the man that put Nigeria in the intensive care unit. That is Buhari. I defend that so that people will know where I'm coming from. The same people that poison Nigeria economy are the same people coming with a prescription, to heal us. All of them in that coalition. Is it the man who claimed and the people that murdered June 12th? I'm talking of David Mark, a man that said, telephone is not meant for the poor. Is it Amechi who successfully provided a rail line for bandits to move from Niger? When our rail lines are not functioning in other parts of Nigeria, he went to source for loan. All of you know. All of us were virtually being made as a collateral in the Amechi as a Minister of Transport. That is a man who is coming to say, we want to liberate Nigeria. Our position is this. They and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they brought in Buhari. Buhari sentenced Nigeria to capital poverty, the poverty capital of the world.
All right.
All of their party. And clearly...
Mr. Arabambi, you've made some very heavy allegations here. Now, I just do want to say that all the comments that have been made by Mr. Arabambi that have not proven to be fact or not in the secular in terms of media, they are not our statements. Those are comments made from our guest, Mr. Abayomi Arabambi. Very heavy allegations from him. But gentlemen, this is all we can take at this hour. We want to say thank you so much for coming on. Now, I wish there was enough time for us to continue, but we cannot. Many thanks to Mr. Bala Ibrahim, who joins us, but unfortunately we can't take his visual. He's the National Publicity Director for the APC. Mr. Abayomi Arabambi, who is of the Labour Party, the Public Secretary for the Abure-led faction, as well as Mr. Ken Asugwa. I know you're angry. Apologies, sir, but we have to do our job. He is the Publicity Secretary for the Nenadi Usman faction of the Labour Party. Once again, gentlemen, thank you. We look forward to see what the next 2 years will look like for the ADC leading up to the elections of 2027 and for the sake of democracy for Nigeria. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, it's going to be News Central's Town Hall series, and this time we're talking violence in Benue. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. In recent months, Benue State has been terrorized by a devastating wave of violence. From May 2023 to May 2025, over 1,043 people were killed in clashes between farmers and herders. Hundreds were brutally massacred in coordinated attacks across local communities in Yelwata, Gua West, and Yukum local government areas, with more than 200 people killed in June alone. Houses have been torched, families displaced, and survivors often caught in a crossfire of ethnicity, religion, and environmental pressures. Now, in response, President Tinubu visited Benue, ordered security agencies to arrest the perpetrators, and set up a committee of elders led by former governors and traditional rulers to restore peace. Yet anger is rising.
So, News Central decided to take action. Not on the headlines. This Thursday, July 10th at 10 a.m., News Central is hosting a town hall meeting in Makurdi, bringing together traditional rulers, security officials, youth and women's groups, religious leaders, and also civil society, all stakeholders. And our mission is to give the voiceless a microphone in the fights to end the violence tearing Benue apart. We're providing a public stage where survivors, farmers, and also displaced persons can speak directly to policymakers, demanding accountability and also protection and solution. So through this platform, News Central hopes to transform isolated pain into collective power, ensuring these conversations aren't just heard, but that they are acted upon. So we have joining us Zoho Timbi. He is, Zoho is a very interesting guest that we have on the show here today, and I'll be telling you why. First of all, good morning and welcome, Zoho. Zoho. Thank you very much for joining us.
Morning, viewers.
Welcome. Zoho is the state coordinator, Northern Nigeria Youth Leaders Forum, Benue State Chapter. You see why we said he's an interesting guest, an important guest at that.
Interestingly, also, Zoho had also reached out to News Central to ask News Central to come over to Benue State for a town hall, not knowing that we already were planning this. So we can see the passion there. Thank you very much, Zoho Timbi.
Thank you.
Now, Zoho, first off, why did you think it was absolutely necessary and important for News Central to have this town hall meeting in Benue State?
Once more, good morning, viewers. Good morning, News Central Nigeria. This particular series, town hall series, is timely, judging from the scale of attacks from across the Benue Valley. It's timely in the sense that on a daily basis, people are being killed. People are crying here and there, and they feel these cries are not heard. And this particular series coming to Benue, it's timely. And I commend News Central Television for this wonderful initiative. We are proud of News Central Television. And other series that are previously held in places like Rivers, Borno, I think Lagos, the successes from those town hall series are wonderful. And we want to hope and sincerely pray that such successes will be extended down to Benue, where cries and call for peace are unending to our people. And they want to see a platform where their cries will be heard. And I want to say this is the first of its kind happening in the valley, on the Benue Valley. And our people are looking forward to that wonderful day when their voices will be amplified to the entire world.
Yes, indeed. Let's also just paint the picture, you know, of the situation on ground for our viewers, right? And also the call by the president for all security agencies to arrest the perpetrators and set up a committee that will be elder-led, a peace committee. Is it a reconciliatory peace that is needed at this time? What is needed, and why has the violence persisted for over 2 years?
You know, this crisis started about 20 years ago, and the scale we have come to see at this time is really hard, mind-blowing, as in the scale of attacks, the killings. As I'm talking to you, on a daily basis, even after the president visited Benue and gave that directives for security agencies to arrest perpetrators and scale down on these attacks. I want to categorically say that this attack has not really scaled down at all. They are rather increasing on a daily basis. And I am calling on the security agencies, whatever strategies they have or are trying to employ, they should go and assess their previous jobs, their previous exercise, their modus operandi, and see how they upgrade that so that the results will be felt. Because the people are tired. People are tired. You can't go to your farm, you can't go to your ancestral home. It's really, really surprising and most unfortunate.
Zoho, can you tell us, let's start from here before the town hall on Thursday, what exactly are the authorities not hearing? From past weeks, we've heard that we've heard claims that this could be a genocide, a religious war, an ethnic war, but not very specifically exactly what it is. What are the authorities not hearing? What are the people trying to tell that they're not getting or putting together in their summations?
The genocide going on is true. And the people, what they're telling the authorities is that these people have specific agenda. Their agenda is at land grabbing. You understand? These people come across from the neighboring state, Nasarawa State. They don't have their abode here in Benue State. They come across from Nasarawa State into Benue to cause this unrest. And these things are happening under the nose of security agencies, and nothing is being done. If at all they're doing anything, their efforts are not good enough. You understand? Their efforts are not good enough. They should work extra hard to nip these killings, to nip these atrocities, this conflict in the bud. People are dying on a daily basis, for God's sake.
So the town hall will be bringing together stakeholders, the people who are aggrieved, people who've lost family, who've lost homes. To what authority are you expecting them to pass these grievances? Which specific authority? Is it the governor? Is it the presidency? Is it the security agencies? Who do you think they should be looking out at the town hall to send these informations, these specific informations to?
Well, as a people, they have been crying for more than 20 years now that peace should come and reign supreme in our land. And they feel this cry is not being heard by those in authority. And this particular town hall series is one they are really looking forward to. They feel it's an opportunity for them, for their voice, their cries they've been crying for like more than 20 years now to be heard. And these cries will be directed to the authorities, the president, who they didn't have opportunity to see or talk to when he came, the security agencies, who some of them who are directly involved or who are victims of these attacks did not have the opportunity to talk with. They feel this town hall series is just the right place or platform for them to air their cry. And hopefully that the authorities will listen to their cries. And they are not really kind of letting down on their efforts to try and attend this particular. The mobilization, the awareness is high. Go to IDP camps, go to other settlements where the people are seeking refuge. This message of a town hall meeting happening in Makurdi is at the topmost on their mouth. So it's timely and it's welcome. And the people in Benue, particularly those affected by this crisis, are welcoming it with two hands.
What about the youth as well? The youth, the women, the children, and most importantly, youth participation. Do you see them welcoming this town hall meeting? And what exactly are their grievances? Because I know for youth, it's quite different from adults. This is their livelihood, their homes, their community. This is where they find a future. And when, insecurity persists and killings continue, it seems bleak.
For the youths, their source of livelihood have been taken away from them. Places they've all along called homes is no longer a place for them to go to. So their principal aim is that the authorities should come and make peace prevail. You understand? And all those involved in this crisis should be arrested and prosecuted. That is what they are all saying. Any person, no matter how highly placed the person is, if found involved, should be prosecuted so that it will serve as a deterrent for others will be troublemakers who will want to always see conflicts or crisis as a cash cow for them on any time they want to make money, they foment trouble or cause crisis. And also the youths are calling on the government, the authorities. The justice system should be reformed. Lawlessness should be abolished. The rule of law should be upheld. Because they feel if the rule of law is upheld, that people will have confidence in the justice system and go and seek redress wherever they want to, knowing fully well that they will be heard or justice will be served. So that is all the youths are saying. They are really, really tired because this is causing more poverty on the populace, particularly the youths, and they don't want to go into other vices. Someone who is used to, on a daily basis, finding his daily bread through hard work has now been subjected to being a beggar, looking for crumbs of food to eat and also feed his or her family. So they are not really finding it easy.
So, Timmy,
their cry is.
I want to say thank you for helping us get the understanding of the youth perspective here and the issues that are going on in Benue State, and also for putting out that call for News Central to come over with the Town Hall series. Well, we will be there on Thursday at 10 a.m. in Maiduguri, and we hope that every stakeholder who's involved would be present at the Town Hall so we can give a voice to the voiceless and have them have their say, so the authorities, who will be present as well, can get to know exactly where the pinch is when it comes to the issues of violence inside of Benue State. Thank you very much, Toho, for being our guest. And to our viewers, do stay tuned. We've got more coming your way inside the final hour for Breakfast Extra on a Sunday edition. Stay tuned. 10 o'clock hour here for a Sunday edition Breakfast Extra. It's time for the strips. Of course, anytime you see me standing here, we're taking a look at those cartoon editorials that actually made it through the week, that caught our attention and depict real-life instances in politics or whatever it is. Always very interesting, and of course, as usual, Judith will be joining me in analyzing some of these artwork. Let's start with our first one. First off, Judith, welcome again. Let's do the strips together, shall we? Grand. So, Judith, we've got very interesting ones this morning. Let's start with our first one. I don't know in what order we'll be going, but they're all very interesting. Boom, bam. Reno Omokri. Nigeria's... Hey, let me start, Judith. I love that this guy is a very interesting commentator. He's got something to say about everything, everyone, every political bigwig, or at least everyone who's in power or going in for power. Let's take a look at this cartoon here. It's by Mr. Okpara, and that's for Business Day. I'm not defending policy, I'm defending my plate. You see him with the swords there, desire and ambition, and of course his white beard, and he's got all these scars that he's brandishing. What are these scars? What are these ambitions? What are these desires? We all know that he's a very vocal person when it comes to people in power, people who are going into power. Now, it has come to our notice, or the general note, that it seems he's very whimsical when it comes to alliance. He has, for one, actually been with the Tinubu camp at one time or the other. He's also claimed to be with the Atiku camp one time or the other, and even Peter Obi, where from before he told that, hey, this guy maybe could run Nigeria properly, and at another time, not. Judith, I don't know what you think about Reno Omokri's antiques, but does this depict exactly what you would say is his character?
Of course, now. I mean, you just reeled out what you just realized, very clear that it is. But I think what's most important is that, what's most important for me is that I must say that I haven't slept well, had only 3 hours of sleep.
It's okay.
So my brain is filled with so much cloud or dust. Fog is the word. Reno Omokri, those who support him and those who follow him and like his Facebook posts, I'm very intrigued by their brain. I feel like people they should donate their brain after they're long gone, so we can sort of understand the part of it that is supposed to be used for critical thinking and analysis, why they support him the way they do. It's just something of mine. But also, how this man became important, that we're sitting down here to analyze him, is wild. I have never seen it. I don't have any words except anyone who supports him who are susceptible to fall for a cult. That's what I got to say.
I'm being told that, unfortunately, we can't continue with the strips because we have to join Abuja for the Thanksgiving that's commenced already.
Another gentleman who's also been in the limelight.
So we're going to be shifting to that in just a bit. But very interesting take that you had there for, Omokri and the World cartoon that we have just shown. We're hoping that sometime before the end of the hour, we'll jump back into the strips and maybe even show some more. But tell you what, let's take a short break. Then we'll be joining Abuja for that Thanksgiving.